So this book, for anybody out there that thinks they're highly sensitive or an empath, you have to read this book because it's giving me tools and understanding. And I got to dive into my list, but why don't you tell us a little bit about your book and what caused you to write it while I get my notes ready here.
Okay, so I, of course, realized I was an empath. I didn't know I was before the NDE and when I was sick and when I had cancer, but it was after that I realized, that somebody once said to me, hey, I think you're an empath. And I had not heard that word. So I looked it up. And then I started to read up on it. And I realized, wow, yeah, I am an empath. And so I then just started to kind of not just research, but feel into it. Like once I became aware that I was an empath, I started to realize that not everybody thinks like me. And then I was able to identify that, yeah, of course, they're not going to get what I'm trying to say because they don't have this particular quality of feeling what other people feel. That's why they can watch violent films. That's why certain corporates can function purely by duping people, because people like you and I and other empaths, we can't do anything that would hurt or harm another person. It immobilizes us if we think that, oh, I'm earning money, off the backs of poor people. We wouldn't be able to sleep at night. And so there was a time when I would feel that, how do people do that? How do people, why is the world like that? But when I discovered I was an empath, that's when I started to realize, oh, not everybody feels this way. That's why they can do that. They are missing a certain element. And it's not even that they're missing it. The majority of the planet don't have this extra piece that we call empath. And I want to differentiate between empathy and being an empath. This is important because empathy is something that most people can learn. And I will say most, I won't say all, because there are still some people, I would say, at the bottom end of the scale who maybe are, I guess, sociopathic, that it's just the way they're wired. But most people can learn empathy. And that's different from being an empath. Empathy is something that comes from experiencing something or learning something and knowing, oh, so as an example of learning empathy is if you were to tell somebody, I would like you to pretend that you're a paraplegic and use a wheelchair for 2 weeks and you're not allowed to get on the floor and stand. And you give them this exercise or this game. And you say, every time you stand up, you're going to be docked points. And so I want you to navigate the world, go to the bathroom, go out, take public transport, whatever. And if they do that for 2 weeks, they are going to be able to empathize with every single wheelchair person. And if we could do this for kids at school and have them experience these kinds of things, they would become geniuses at developing technology for people who do have actual disabilities. But anyway, that is empathy, which can be taught and should be taught at schools. Being an empath is something else. It's somebody who is at the extreme end of being a highly sensitive person, where you literally feel the energy of the people that are around you, and you may not even be aware of it. So you could walk into a room where people are angry and maybe they won't even say a word, or you could spend the day with somebody who is upset about something and they don't even need to say a word, but you feel what they're feeling. It's like you entrain yourself to the people around you. And this is what empaths do. So you have someone whose mood is down here. Empath comes in, they feel that mood and they entrain themselves to that person. And they don't even realize they've done it. They walk away and they're now down here and they're like, why do I feel so low? So when you have this fear, this pathological fear going on in the world, empaths feel it. And it brings them down unless they're aware they're doing it. And that is why I share what I share. I want empaths to know this is what you do. And the world needs you to not do that. The world needs you to hold your light up there and shine your light, because the world needs empaths more than ever right now.
So funny. I had this, I dated these two guys before my husband, and they had tendencies towards negativity. And, you know, again, like you say in the book, you know, people pleasing is a very telling sign that you may be an empath.
Yes.
And I've talked about this in many of the episodes, and it feels better because I feel so weak when I say people pleasing, because I have over time healed so much and I've developed, you know, my strength and stepped into my power, but I still have this tendency to want to keep the peace. And I'm hyper vigilant, and I know what everybody wants, and I tune into how they feel, and I want to make everything better, you know. And so much of what your book talks about, like even that you wrote a chapter on money, you know, and I've worked with my own perceptions around money. It's changed my financial state. And now that I have an abundance of wealth, and I'm so blessed, you know, I do have this guilt that I just want to, you know, part of me wants to give it all away, because I feel that is why I have abundance, and it feels so good to be able to help people. But then part of me like there's still that guilt of like, you know, wanting to give it all away, because who am I to have this much wealth? You know what I mean?
Yes, that's a typical empath feeling. And that's why empaths find it really hard to hold on to money. And this is why people who are not empaths are able to actually exploit empaths, and they're able to create corporates that are based on greed. Whereas what we need is for empaths to heal their relationship with money so that they can make money and create conscious corporations. And we need empaths at the head of wealth and abundance, because if the world was run by empaths, and I truly believe this, if the global leaders were empaths, we would eliminate world hunger and wars in 5 minutes. We really would. We really would.
And I think that's, you know, the essence of what the Dalai Lama said. It's the world would be saved by the Western woman. I think, you know, could be just switched in the words. The world would be saved by the empaths, you know?
Yes.
Because, and it's just like you said, this book gives us tools so that we can step into our power, mostly out of awareness to what our tendencies are. And, you know, like we talk about in Heal, our subconscious beliefs, our perception colors this lens, and to understand that people look through the lens that they don't even know that they have, based on their belief systems, their marinade, you call it, of cultural beliefs they've adopted. We all have different marinades. And you look through this lens and you believe that your perception of reality is reality. But you have to understand, and we're seeing this right now as the world is polarized more than ever, that both sides, or all sides, everybody's looking through a lens, believing that their reality is truth, and that these other 50% of people are crazy. And the bottom line is we just both have different lens and different belief systems. And
exactly, you really get it.
So I love this book. And like you said, the reason, you know, about just feeling energy, like I need solitude. I need a whole day to myself to shake off other people's energy and reconnect to myself. My husband is like amazing, high function. He's so empathic. He's the most generous, large-hearted human being. But he needs he's just like this crazy energy. He needs about two hours maybe of solitude. I need like 2 to 3 days, you know? So everybody's got different, you know, scales of how much they take on. But I used to see it, just to finish the story of the two people I dated before, I used to see it as a buoy. I was a buoy, and I was constantly being like pulled under, like trying to pull them to the surface because their tendencies, their lens, their marinade brought them down to the depths. And that just, your book validates that, you know, we attract these kind of people until we become aware, and then we can step into our power and use these gifts that we've been given for good and for service.
Oh gosh, yeah, 100%. And I mean, this is such a great interview, because you really spot on get even the subtle things that I'm trying to get across. And one of the reasons why empaths are people pleasers to begin with is because you're not aware that you're feeling everybody's energy around you, and you're kind of in training to them. So you go out of your way to get them to feel good, because if they don't feel good, you don't feel good. You need them to feel that so you can feel that. And so that's why empaths, it's, the transition for an empath to become a people pleaser, it's just, because we need the people around us to feel good. Otherwise, we feel guilty being in joy when they're struggling and suffering.
Thank you for listening to the Heal podcast. Be sure to tune in for more empowering wisdom and inspiring healing stories. Oh, and make sure you hit the follow button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss that one episode that holds the answer you've been searching for. And if you feel inspired, we would love you to rate and review us so that we have the opportunity to reach more people. And of course, you can follow us on Instagram for some behind the scenes fun and more inspiration at @Heal Documentary and @Kelly Goris. Thank you so much, and be well.